Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 127 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Here we go.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Have you got a health issue that just won't go away no matter what you try? Then welcome to the Revive Yourself podcast, where we reveal the secrets to long-lasting health by getting to the root cause of problems that no one else is talking about. So you can have more energy, clear skin, healthier hair, a leaner physique, more confidence, and most importantly, do the things you love and live the life you deserve. Here's your host, Ryan Martin.
So guys, welcome to episode 127 of the Revive Yourself podcast. Hope you're all well. Just before we get to the show today, just a couple of notices for you. As always, the podcast is brought to you by www.reviveyourself.co or .co. And if you're heading over there, we've got our shop there that's packed full of great supplements for you to have. You know, I've got an update in the shop that holds all the time. The website is actually being revamped. We're trying to make it more user-friendly. But you know, the guest today we've got on, well, funny because one of the products that I always recommend, which is Living Fuel, the guest we got on today is the founder and CEO of Living Fuel, Craichy. And I always say it's the best product on the market bar none. Best all-round product on the market bar none. It's unparalleled in terms of its level of nutrition, what it can give you in terms of cellular health and super optimal nutrition. So that's there. You've got the super berry, the berry, the ultimate berry, and you've also got the super greens there, as well as the Living Fuel protein, as well as many other high quality supplements, including fluoride-free toothpaste, chemical-free sun cream. All phenomenal teas that are going to help boost your immune system, cleanse your body, you know, the antimicrobial, antiparasitic, antifungal in terms of Pau Darko, Cat's Claw and Quadrupedra. And we've got lots of other supplements there as well. And also we've got our EMF blocking devices from Aries Tech. So if you're looking for something to block the radiation that's coming in from your phone, your computer, etc., and also the 5G. We've got their new 5G blocking device there too. Also our whole house filtration systems, water filtration systems from Aquitaire. So if you've got a 1, 2, 3 or 4 bedroom or more bedroom house, 4 plus bedroom house, whether you've got soft or hard water, we've got options for you there, and they take out 99% of all nasties too. And so before the shop is being updated, we're going to have more things on the shop, working on our affiliate links to Blue Blocks, the blue blocking glasses. But if you head over to www.blublox.com, you'll be able to get the best blue blocking glasses on the market bar none. Most come from China. This comes from Australian opticians, and the glass level of glasses far superior. You put in the code REVIVE there, you get 10% off, and also you do the same at www.essentialoilwizardry.com. If you go over there for the best essential oils on the market, you put in the code in small letters REVIVE, you're going to get 10% off the best essential oils in the world from my friend Dr. Nick Berry, who is the world's leading authority, in my opinion, on essential oils and what they can do for you. He is not called the Essential Oil Wizard for nothing. And we'll be getting the links up to Seed and other affiliates soon, so that should all be working on this week. Lots going on behind the scenes, getting the book sorted out. Even going to be trying to get a Patreon account going, guys, because for the episodes, because you know I want to be able to keep bringing this stuff to you, and this is why I have the affiliate links. And if you do buy stuff through us, it all helps in fund the podcast and gets great information out to you. Going to be doing a Patreon account for the podcast as well, because you know it does take up time. We are getting great interviews out for your information, so to be able to keep on doing this, we're going to need to probably monetize it a little bit. Don't worry, I won't be doing any interviews in the middle of episodes. That's not something I'm a fan of, but if you can buy any supplements and things you need through us, it will help in terms of just be able to fund the creation of the podcast. Anyway, on to today's guest. As I mentioned before, we have got the founder of Living Fuel, Craichy, on the show. He's a phenomenal person. He's a wealth of knowledge, and it was great. I actually got the chance to go down and meet him in West London this past Monday, and we had a great chat about everything to do with nutrition, as well as why he actually started the company Living Fuel. We went on to his new products he'll be bringing out, also his new book, which is like the 8th key to long-lasting health or vitality, and many other topics that we discussed, especially why Living Fuel is so good in terms of why it's far superior to so many other products on the market. And it was a fantastic conversation, and it was a real pleasure meeting him. Lovely guy, great values, and someone that I definitely want to. We'll be definitely keeping in contact. Definitely want to meet him again, relatively soon, hopefully, and maybe even get out to his house in Florida, because it would be great to see how everything works down there. But so, without further ado, here's the interview with Casey. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. What other interviews have you got lined up?
I have to find out for my staff. I'm just trying to do today.
So when I messaged you, was that actually you responding?
It was.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
I just literally a few days ago took over my Instagram because I just had people playing with it. We never really got into Instagram, and so I just literally took it over.
All right.
And so when you messaged me, you were actually getting me instead of somebody that
I only messaged because I was like, okay, because someone sent me a picture. I don't know if it was you who tagged me in. So you got off the plane, you're drinking your Living Fuel.
Oh, how about that?
And so then I was like, oh, cool. Is Casey actually got any time free? And they were like, yeah. So was that you? I can't remember. It was you, right? Yeah. I think you tagged me in the video. Or someone tagged me in because I think they know that. Yeah, because I mean, I do actually put quite a lot of posts up about Living Fuel. It's always in, and I mean, I actually because it's actually on my shop as well. So like in my shop, so we give it to all our clients. I don't recommend anything that I wouldn't take myself, and on every episode, I mean, I'll even do it before this one. I'll have like, look, if you want to go to a shop, the best all-round product on the market is Living Fuel, bar none. Like it covers every single base. If you want to use it as a meal replacement, or whether you want to use it like a half a scoop or a quarter of a scoop as a daily sort of like, it's a daily hit for your nutrients. It works either way, and it covers all bases. And so that's probably why one of your staff probably tagged me in, because I do actually post it quite a lot. So it's really nice to meet you, finally, the man behind it. No, it's really nice to meet you. But anyway, we're recording, so...
We are, okay.
Yeah. Oh. It's a nice little easy intro. So it's just... The reason I wanted to get you on with it is because, Living Fuel is a product that I've only... I say about 5-6 years now. I've been using it, and I come across it about 5-6 years ago. And it's still... It said before, like, it still baffles me. It's almost like Paul Check. It's amazing that people still don't know about Paul Check for me. And so it's amazing for me that more people in the fitness industry, or more the health industry, because fitness and health aren't really that aligned these days. Interests me that it's not more well known, and that's why I want to get it out to more people, because it's such a good product. And he said there's nothing really else like it on the market.
You mentioned supplements, but Living Fuel is a food. It's not a supplement. Mm-hmm. And so it is the most potent food that exists. The whole thing is I studied years ago. I was trying to think, okay, I see this doctor says this and Atkins says that. And so my wife was Miss Florida and Miss Florida USA. She competed both Miss America and Miss USA. And so she came down, like all of a sudden, we're married for a couple of years. We had one child, and she came down with clinical depression, suicidal thoughts, and panic attacks, almost like a cold, like one day she's perfect, and the next day, boom, she's riddled by this stuff.
How old was she when that happened?
She had to be 30.
Oh, not even, yeah.
No, very young.
Very young.
And so, this woman, she would get on a plane to go anywhere and, to perform and go across halfway around the world and perform. And all of a sudden she's like confined to our room. And she's on Xanax and Zoloft and psychotherapy. And I didn't know anything but performance nutrition back then. And how can I be better in the gym?
That was like what? Yeah,
that's really
that's where I come from, like sporting background, and some of the stuff now I look at what they're taking. I got ill from. That's why I do what I do, because I got very ill, and some of the stuff that I was taking, I look at it now, I'm like, how are these top athletes taking this stuff? It's mind-boggling.
It is, because they just think that just want gains. They just want gains. They don't realize how complex the human body is, and so. At that point, my wife decided, listen, this is only a couple weeks in. These drugs make me feel awful. They're not helping. And sitting on a couch talking to some dude I don't know is not working for me. She said, I'm done with this. We got to find another way. And so I was a CEO of a medical device company at the time. And I said, you know what? I am going to dive in the literature. I'm not coming out without an answer. And I don't care what this doctor says or that doctor says and this book says. I'm going to go back to what they're studying and how they came up with their conclusions. And so I was in the medical business. I was in a transesophageal cardiac pacemaking. So I was familiar with literature, but I never focused on nutrition. And so I really did a deep dive into clinical nutrition. I thought that really that was it. Clinical nutrition had to be it. And so she was like my personal guinea pig. She was amazing. She would take, I would take everything she took too, but she would take, all these different supplements, and we would talk to the top practitioners, top clinical nutritionists. And it is amazing the difference in what one guy thinks and another guy thinks. But she did make progress, but we discovered there were other things in addition to nutrition, which is the foundation of all our work, which is hydration, nutrition, exercise, stress, sleep, environmental hazards, and meditation and prayer. And we finally, after all these years, discovered another one we're writing a book about right now called The Eighth Key. And we'll talk about that one later. But the point I'm trying to make is that nutrition is foundational, no doubt about it. But you got to have all these other bases covered too. And if you're deficient in any of those, you will have consequences. And on the listeners now, at least 4 out of 7 they're deficient in. Now, young people, they cover up with caffeine and all kinds of things, but they're heading towards a crash. Youth is wasted on the young, as they say. But we want to hold on to that youth as our wisdom catches up. And so we went through this process of really a 10-year period of research and trial and error. My company was born. My best-selling books were born. The philosophies we taught were born. My wife had not had a drug in a decade, and now it's been over 2 decades, and she's dropped those meds in and never picked them back up. So interestingly, not only have we helped my wife overcome, and she's now helping so many others, and we both have helped thousands of other people overcome. But the interesting thing is I have a friend who is a doctor at the Sick Kids Hospital in Canada, and Greg Wells is his name, just an amazing doctor. And he is also an Olympic team doc for Canada. Just a brilliant guy on sports nutrition. He said something to me one day. He's a Living Fuel guy. And he said to me one day, he said that the similarities between someone very sick and on the edge and an athlete pushing themselves to the very edge is dramatic, metabolically speaking.
On the body,
And so I spent all this time in health, and I kept hearing from these athletes, Paul Chek and Ben Greenfield and all these others who caught on to the power of Living Fuel. And they're taking Living Fuel thinking, wow, this is the best sports. I mean, you can increase recovery, according to the literature, by over 50% with the right antioxidants. Well, Living Fuel is the most potent, broad-spectrum antioxidant that exists. So a lot of people say, take vitamin C or take this vitamin. But they don't realize that antioxidants, and I said 5 years ago that in 5 years, everybody's going to know this, but they still don't know it. What I'm about to say is that antioxidants are a broad class. There's really primarily 5 and even 6 now: hydroxyl, peroxyl, peroxynitrite, superoxide anom, singlet oxygen. And if you have one substance you're taking, it's like you're paddling a boat and you got 5 holes in it, and you only really know that you're plugging one hole. You still got the other ones leaking. So at every moment now, when you're an athlete, as you know, respiration increases by 20 times. Okay. So does oxidation. So if you're going through athletics without antioxidants, then you're going to have a hard time recovering. Does that make sense? And so over a long period of time, it results in injury and reduced athletic performance.
Free radical damage, things like that.
Right. Free radical damage. And so it's interesting how I discovered all of these things because of the love of my wife. And ended up being, I'm on the board of the Titleist Performance Institute, TPI in California. They're the very leading edge in athletics, and they're just golf, but now they're doing baseball and football and all sorts of other things too, because human movement is the same and the metabolic foundation is the same. And so what I try to tell people is now, where I've arrived at, is you really don't even know if you're sick until you've covered your nutritional basis, until you're properly nutrified. And what does that mean? Well, that means there's 100 things, roughly, including trace minerals. And there's a lot more if you want to break it down some more. But I mean, you got
Krebs cycle minerals in.
Krebs cycle minerals, and most people don't even know what that means. But the Krebs cycle basically is how you form energy. And there are certain things that are recognized by the Krebs cycle in the body. Krebs is a doctor's name, Krebs. But the body recognizes citrate, malate, alpha-ketoglutarate. These sort of forms of minerals mineral carriers, and it doesn't recognize oxide and carbonate and those things that people try to throw at your body. So So we're talking about broad spectrum antioxidant. Living Fuel is the most potent broad spectrum antioxidant that exists, but also the most complete mineral composition that exists. And we think about athletics and minerals, it's incredible. See, every day, I don't know what they say in the UK, but in America they say, the government says, and the government's notoriously low because they're only saying that science has proven if you take this much of this, you won't get this specific disease. In other words, 60-something milligrams of vitamin C will keep you from getting scurvy. Right? Yeah. But that doesn't mean you don't need more vitamin C. That means that one particular disease, scurvy, will be minimized if you take this much a day. Yeah. Same thing with all of them. So when you get to minerals, this is really one of the biggest problem athletes have, and people like high blood pressure, just people in health. And this is a crossover because almost everybody listening right now is somewhat deficient, or if not dangerously deficient, in potassium and magnesium and some of the other minerals, but trace minerals particularly. So potassium, why they say, well, I had a banana for breakfast. Okay, well, great. You had 300 milligrams of potassium, but the U.S. RDA in the United States, okay, and I suspect the UK is similar, says you need 4,800 milligrams of potassium every day. So if you eat a 300 milligram potassium banana, not only did you take too much sugar, okay, you now only got 300 out of 4,700 milligrams. So
you're way short.
Way short. Okay, so what is the highest potassium food that exists? Or Living Fuel. What will be number 2?
I was going to say coconut water.
Coconut water is 500 milligrams per serving. Okay, with a blast of sugar. Yeah. Okay, so that's why I don't recommend coconut water unless you're doing athletics. Yeah. Okay, but coconut water is high on the list, but Living Fuel is 1,200 milligrams. Okay, so that's 500 milligrams. And so the next highest will be avocado. Avocado. A whole avocado. Now, most people don't eat a whole avocado, but a whole avocado is 900 to 950 milligrams. So that would be number 2. Beet greens. Yeah. If you take enough of them, is a very high source. Okay. And then greens in general. So in order to get the amount of potassium that you need in a day, you need to be eating at least 10 full servings of greens. Okay, I'm talking about greens that are green, not the really light colored greens. Yeah. So 10 full servings. Now, I don't know anybody's doing that. And people say, well, I juice and whatever. Okay, fine. Maybe a few people are getting the right potassium. But then you have magnesium is right behind it. Everybody. So if you have athletes, and you have, since you work with athletes, they cramp. Okay, so you have athletes that cramp. Yeah. Okay, well, that means they don't have enough minerals.
No minerals, and they're also having too much sugar, too much refined sugar.
Okay, right.
It's well, not my athletes, but people in general.
Out of balance.
Yeah, out of balance.
Out of balance. So I have taken athletes in American football who couldn't play in the second half because they cramp up too much, and just giving them Living Fuel for 1 or 2 meals a day, and then we have a thing called in-sport recovery.
So you do it's almost like a warrior diet.
Well, warrior diet says you have minimal calories during the day and you eat your calories at night. Yeah. Okay, so there's a place for that, and I can talk about that here in a moment. What I'm trying to say is that you properly nutrify these athletes. See, they were out of balance. Okay, they think I'm fit, so I can eat this and just burn it off.
Oh, they just. I mean, that's a typical athletic mindset. You know, same over here. When football players over in the US, and you get it with footballers over here. You know, they eat McDonald's and stuff just because they think it's just calories in, calories out. They don't. You learn the hard way. This case, like your wife did, like I did. You learn the hard way because no one really understands. People know that obviously nutrition is important, but they don't understand how important. They don't understand the whole complex of, you said before, all the different factors. Obviously, you've got your hydration, your breath work, all your meditation, your prayer. You've got everything that goes with it, the yin and the yang principles. But people don't understand this until it becomes
too late.
Yeah. So it's almost too late. Yeah, hopefully almost too late. Yeah.
Injury happens at the point of exhaustion. And what is exhaustion? I'm talking about exhausting something that was essential that you don't have enough of. Okay, so when someone gets to the edge, they're not properly fueled. They're not feeling like being out there, but they're out there anyway. Chance of injury goes up dramatically. And so my message to young athletes is figure out your nutrition now. Yeah. Okay, youth does not change the fact of how you're aging your cells and how you're messing up your metabolism. Just because you look good in the mirror and you perform good on the field does not mean that going to, like you said, McDonald's or fast food and not covering your bases is okay. Now, you can get away with a lot of as a youth. Yeah. But I said this morning on a post I did that, cover your bases first. Yeah. That's why I say living fuel and then go eat what you want. But the thing is, what you're going to want is going to change, because when you go into the store, and I just sat there this morning at one of your cafes down the street and just watching, I said, okay, so how do they do it in London? Because I know how they do it in America. And I'm expecting, tea and crumpets. That's what you hear about English, right? Mm. So they walk in the store and then you see coffee Danish, coffee cookie, coffee sweet.
Same as what you got over there now.
And they put sugar in their coffee in addition to that. And I'm watching going, oh my gosh, they have no idea how they're setting up the cravings for the day. So when you eat in the morning carbohydrates and coffee and sugar in your coffee, you literally are rocketing your blood sugar up. So that means in 2 hours, you're going to be craving something and you're going to eat something that you shouldn't eat. And so setting yourself up for the first meal, get everything your body needs, which is living fuel, and then go make a decision on what you want to eat with your brain and not with your craving.
So do you, because I'm interested to see how you take it, because this is the funny thing, we're talking about this from athletic performance perspective, but I'm just going from a natural, I always say to people, we talk about athletic performance and human, and just being healthy, but I always say a healthy body will outperform an unhealthy body. But I don't talk about this, good. I just talk about this for in terms of, I deal with people with chronic illnesses. And I said, talking to you before we start recording, it's something that we have we go through a process, and one of the processes we have a 21-day health reset in our program. We've got different parts of our program, 6-7 stages, and one of it's a 21-day health reset. And Living Fuel is one of the key supplements in our bundle. We use the Living Fuel Superberry, and then people can chop and change with the greens and stuff. And we've got a couple of others. We use a greens powder, something like Ty Bollinger's Organics, or we've got Dr. McCullough's got one, or we've got we use super greens as well, Living Fuel. We always have and I say to people, and some people go, it's quite expensive. I'm like, have you seen what's in it? I said, you get what you pay for. Yeah, it's £79, but two scoops of it is equivalent to $260 worth of organic nutrition. And I say, sometimes I've been shown the advert. You've got a great advert that says what is it like?
The guy speaking English accent.
Yeah, and it's got he brings it all out on a tray, and it's more protein than how many eggs or whatever. I can't remember how much potassium, more than 9 bananas, whatever it is. And so you don't understand. We are giving your body everything it needs in this, and so I say to people when they're going through that process. And then we have a cleansing period sometimes to give people's bodies time to reset. And I say during that period, 2 scoops so many times a day. But I just say to people that even if you're doing a scoop or even a half a scoop a day, you're still flooding your body full of nutrients. Because how do you use it? Do you use it every day?
Every day for 18 years. Yeah. But I want to say something. Ty Bollinger takes Living Fuel.
Yeah, he does.
Okay?
Yeah.
Elliot Hulse, Ben Greenfield. Let me go down the list. They take Living Fuel. Why? Because nothing exists on the level of Living Fuel. So those other greens products you talked about, that's like taking a small salad versus a full course.
So that's what I'm saying. So this is what I mean. So because yours is as you said before, there's a hit, a greens hit, a supplement, whereas yours is food. It's a meal.
A whole meal.
It's no other meal. This is what I mean. You got people out there talking about Herbalife, and I cringe. It's like meal replacement. I'm like, no. People are but people lost weight doing it. I could give you 3 Mars bars a day, you'd lose weight. Yeah, doesn't mean that it's healthy for you. This is, you know what I mean? It's true, and so it's just why I like it's so it's really interesting to talk about how you got there. There's so many things I want to talk about, especially how you developed it, because the formula hasn't changed, has it?
Oh, it's changed a lot.
Has it?
Yeah, well, it hasn't changed in its overall. Generally speaking, it's the same. But for instance, we would used to use folinic acid for folate. Yeah. Okay. But the research kept screaming over the years that 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate is the active form, which is even the people with a genetic defect that have a problem with folic acid do well with. Okay. Yep. And so we added things like nucleic acids. Right. Yeah. Okay. These are really touches that people don't realize. Now, there are essential nutrients which you have to have. And then there's these exotic things that you never get, okay? And if you can get them, they'll enhance your performance. So we've added, we've changed the amino acid mix because we add amino acids in addition to the proteins. We put 2 different plant proteins plus amino acids, so that when your body sees it, they see egg protein, but it's from plant sources.
So how have you gone about? Because people will say, well, yeah, it's a food, but it's a powder. It's not an apple or a chicken, or it's not. It doesn't look like food. It's a powder. So how do you keep all those nutrients? I mean, how do you keep all those nutrients alive and available for people when it can sit on the shelf? Because a lot you hear it, and I say to people all the time, course, a cereal can sit on the shelf for 3 years and nothing goes wrong with it because it's got nothing in it. It's dead food, whereas yours isn't dead food. So how do you take that process? What is the process that makes yours so different to everyone else?
So essentially, like you talk about the cereal.
Yeah.
Something that was bad to start with. What is it going to do when it expires? Go good? You know? So living fuel, we first start with freeze-dried foods.
Right.
Okay. Broccoli, spinach, kale, spirulina, barley grass, blueberry, strawberry, raspberry, cranberry. We start with real food that is freeze-dried. Now, why is that good? Because we have ripe food we freeze dry. So it's at the peak of nutrient efficiency or peak of nutrient value. And then we freeze dry it, locking in that value. When you go to the grocery store, okay, do you see a farm around here? Okay, where do you think it came from? So in America, it's at least 14 days before you see it in the store that they pick it. It's not ripe yet.
No.
So it never got to peak nutrient value. They pulled it out of the earth, pulled it off the stem, and they put it on a truck, and sometimes they gas it to turn the color, right? So when you go down and get your vegetables and you juice, okay, first of all, most of them aren't organic, okay? But secondly, if they are organic, they still don't have the nutrition value of living fuel. And then we've done research, and the databases in the UK and America, we said, okay, so here's what the RDA is, here's what the recommended daily allowance from the government is, here's what people are getting on the average in their diet, and here's what's optimal. And so what we're able to do is to figure out, okay, how much does somebody need of this in order to thrive? And so we went down the list of everything, okay? Is this essential? Yes, okay? So here is potassium. So what form of potassium do you want? Well, let's look at the Krebs cycle. Well, it's got to be citrate, malate, alpha-ketoglutarate. We talk about those. So go down the list of everything, every single thing. So people say, well, too much vitamin A is bad for you. I dispute that research to start with. Okay, vitamin A is very good even for pregnant women, but let's just let the government have their say. Okay, so what's the answer to that? The answer to that is broad spectrum carotenoid. So we have the only broad spectrum carotenoid. People use beta carotene. We use alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Okay, so what happens there? Your body needs vitamin A, so it has an ample supply of carotenoids. So then it converts what it needs to vitamin A and uses it as it needs it. So it's brilliant. Now, too much beta carotene is probably not a big deal, but beta, anytime you have beta, like vitamin E is often talked about as D-alpha tocopherol. Well, D is one fraction of natural vitamin E, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. So we use broad spectrum tocotrienols, broad spectrum tocopherols, so that we have the whole E. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So people like to try and, I always say to these people, they will try, it's like doctors, they try, when you get some supplements, they just try to extract a singular molecule, and it's like, that's not, for example, vitamin C, they said like orange, they're vitamin C. So, yeah, but it's vitamin C, but the reason it works is because it's like the complex. You've got revatory and levatory molecules, right? If you shine a light through a fake molecule, it goes to the left and the right revatory, and people don't understand, like, the body notices that, and if it's not real, if it hasn't got the whole, this is why it's like, if it hasn't got the whole food, it's like giving you an egg, but instead of having the yolk and the egg in the middle, it's just like an eggshell. It's like, it's not really there. And so I completely understand what you're saying. You've got the full spectrum behind it, so the body's getting
nutrition is a symphony. Okay,
I like that a lot.
And if you see the whole orchestra and you pull out some of the drum section, or you just play them wrong, it's going to mess everything up. You take the strings out, it's going to mess everything up. Or you just play the strings differently, it's going to mess everything up.
I'll be using that.
So
I'll quote you on that.
Please do.
In fact, I might use that as a soundbite. That's good.
Please do.
Nutrition is like a symphony.
But when the symphony is bad, everybody knows it. You don't have to be a music expert to know something is not right with that symphony, right? Well, the human body walks around that way. So the average person, I was just watching average people here in London down the street there. I was watching what they ate, and I said, oh my gosh, they have no idea what they're doing to themselves. Because when you talk about the essential nutrients, if you say vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and you go down the list, essential antioxidants, go down the list of things you must have, and you say, okay, you had a sugar Danish, and a coffee with sugar, and that's your breakfast. Okay, let's count the essential things that are in there.
And then people wonder why they're ill. They wonder how they got ill. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. It's like, I don't mind people doing people at the end of the day, it's not what you do every now and again that matters, it's what you do the majority of the time. I say, if you want to go and have a beer, or you want to have a coffee, fair enough, but make sure you're doing everything else right a lot of the time.
You sound like me talking. Keep it going, brother. The thing is just that simple, okay? If you don't cover your nutritional basis, you have a consequence coming, okay? And, I think we talk about, people die in America. There's this whole thing that the conventional side of medicine talks about. They say, we've extended lifespan Well, I did a little interesting study on that. I looked at studies that showed, okay, let's remove everybody that's 20 that died before 20 for any reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so take everybody out that died before 20, and then how long is the average lifespan of the remaining people? Well, lifespan in America has increased by 1 year. Okay, in 100 years, 1 year.
No,
that is not progress.
It's age related. What's the one that Paul Chek talks about? I think age related statistics. He talks about if you took away all the people that didn't die, like that get saved from car accidents, some other things. It says like we're not actually living longer at all. And
he's completely right.
Yeah,
he's completely right. So
age related statistics. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember what the exact statistics.
It's all cause mortality.
Okay, yeah.
is something that includes people who died from sudden infant death. They died as an infant. They died in an accident. All those sort of things. So interestingly, all cause mortality goes up when you take drugs. Okay. So when you there's so many people listening right now that are on medications. Okay. I guarantee they don't have a Prozac deficiency.
No.
Okay.
I always say it all the time. I say no one's ever been born deficient in medication.
Okay, good. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you most likely they have some sort of compounded nutritional deficiency. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens in say Africa when people starve? Okay, one of the first things to go, or even they're getting fed the grain. One of the first things to go is their eyesight. Why? Because they're not getting any essential vitamin A. It says essential because it's optional? No, it's essential. So you have essential nutrients, and they're not getting it, and then they go blind. Consistently. It isn't like, well, some people, they lose their night vision first, and then eventually they lose their vision. So that's the point. When you completely deprive yourself of anything that's essential, death is the ultimate result. Okay, so what do I say to people? They are slowly... They're basically, I call them fully fed starvation.
Yeah.
Okay? So their belly's full, but their nutrient profile is deficient. So they're not nutrified. Therefore, they're perishing early as a result. And so getting your bases covered. Now, taking a multivitamin is not going to get you there. Look, pick up your multivitamin and go straight to B12 and say, okay, B12, what is it? Cyanocobalamin. Nope, not going to eat that. Okay.
Cyanide, yeah.
So methylcobalamin is a lot more expensive. We use methylcobalamin because it costs, I think it's $2,000 a kilo, whereas cyanocobalamin costs like $100 a kilo.
I remember my first mentor, Ruben Jabari, was talking about this. He actually questioned his lecturer, and the lecturer actually asked him to leave. He was like, "Why are you using that when you can use this?" And he's like, and I think the guy at the time had a supplement company. He's like, "Why don't you use the more expensive? I know it's more expensive, but it's a far better utilized form of B12." And the guy didn't like the question. And so I say to people all the time, like, it's the same as anything in life. You get what you pay for. And I mean, obviously, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But I always say to people, if you bought one of these things like Living Fuel and you just had like a quarter of the scoop a day, it works out like people go and spend £5 a day on a coffee. So why would they instead of having £5 a day on a Living Fuel shake? It doesn't make sense to me. London, America's the same. The price of things like our countries are in bed with each other. We start to look like each other, and so this is why I would say to people, your country is still a bit more wackadoo than ours in terms of like what you're allowed to put in things. You can't have Mountain Dew with certain things over here, but over in your country you can have certain ingredients. And I mean, it's a bit like the Wild West in some terms. But I always say to people that America's got the worst food in the world and it's got the best food in the world, depending on where you go and what you're having. And so it's awesome for someone like yourself but it's the thing that you've had to come out and do. And the fact that you used to be in the medical industry, I mean, you had a product in hospitals for people with cancer, didn't you?
Well, some cancer centers buy it and use it for, like one report that was really terrific, is really smart, is that people with chemo, I mean, there's been studies on this that are dramatic. I saw this. I remember I've been on the board of the American Association of Clinical Nutrition Review Board. I was on it for 7 years. And one of the years they did a cancer nutrition thing. And this was probably now 5 years ago. I'll have to pull the study. But the study was very interesting. It said that those that did not take antioxidants during chemo, they live an average of 360 days. Okay? The group that took antioxidants during chemo lived an average of 3,500 days, 10 times longer. Now, there's been other research to show that, now chemo I'm not a fan of. Okay, rarely is chemo the right answer.
Yeah.
But if you don't take good nutrition during chemo, it's going to cost you a lot of years of life and health.
It's amazing that there's some of the oncologists say, "Oh, it doesn't matter what you eat, just eat what you want." It's like how every single research, a cancer research UK put a post out last year, and I was just like, this level of ignorance is baffling to me. Like cancer, I say they're not a charity; they're just I'm going to them. They're just a shambles in my point. And they're saying like, it doesn't matter you eat, have McDonald's or have sugar. It's like that feeds cancer. You want to have. I'm the same. I'm not a big fan of chemotherapy either. In terms of it just kills everything, and you hope the good stuff grows back. Well, you're putting something like what you've developed into the body. It's going to be a game changer. Like other people use like cannabis oil as well, don't you? You start. I always say to people, how about one of the lines that I always use like instead of they study disease, cut, burn, poison, medicate, whereas how about you study health and how to regenerate health and what happens when you put in the good stuff? Not, I always say as well, like you mentioned, the other spectrums, and I'm really interested to hear about your eighth key to health. But like I always say to people, you know, it's not just what you consume nutritionally; it's also what you consume in through your ears and your eyes. It's huge. You know, if you go into you're listening to all this negative stuff in the world, and you're just pent up and angry, and then you get stressed, and so you go and eat something that's rubbish because you want comfort food rather than like it's very different to like going out, having a nice walk in nature and listening even to a conversation like this, you know, and like it's very different. And then you start feeding yourself because it's all about what you can consume, and not just nutritionally, but like mentally, emotionally too, energetically. And so, I mean, it's awesome. So you're saying that there have been use in the cancer wards. Have you had any kickback money? Like, have you had any like resistance from doctors and stuff saying this stuff doesn't matter? Or
rarely does a patient take living fuel into a conventional cancer place where the doctor says, no, don't take this. Stop taking all antioxidants. That is protocol number one. They say because chemotherapy operates on an oxidation method, that antioxidants are counterproductive. But the research says completely opposite of that. In fact, it says you must take broad-spectrum antioxidants during chemo if you're going to have better survival chances and better results and better survival chances. So the doctors, well-meaning as they are not trained in nutrition. Yeah. I was sitting with a doctor in Miami, and he was a board-certified anesthesiologist. And he's talking to me about his health. I just don't feel good, and I started questioning about his health. And I said, so, what meds are you taking? He says, well, I'm on Lipitor to bring my cholesterol down, and named a couple others. And I said, well, what is your cholesterol level? He goes, 130. I go, 130. I said, would you have any interest in knowing that all-cause mortality increases every point below 200?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And he said, what? That can't be true. I said, one moment. And I pulled up his own journal, actually Journal of Cardiology, and I showed him all-cause mortality. He just about flipped out. He said, my doctor says keep it at 130. I said, listen, first of all, cholesterol is not a real issue. Okay, it's actually the oxidation of cholesterol that's an issue coming back to antioxidants, right? So oxidation and heart disease are not, I mean, that's been disproven. I mean, I'm sorry, cholesterol levels and heart disease have been disproven. It really is important about how you balance your cholesterol. Okay, so your HDL should be ideally the same as your LDL.
Because people talk about, it's the thing with HDL and LDL, like people talk about them as like cholesterol. Well, they're actually like lower density lipoproteins, high density lipoproteins. They're not actually cholesterol, they're actually delivery.
Right, it's cholesterol deliverers.
Yeah. So like people, I say to people all the time, they're like, they say, well, my cholesterol is, they say it should be in this range. I'm like, okay, well, I wear size 10 shoes and you wear size 9. Should we have the same trainers? Like, it's like, and as you said, it amazes me, I say cholesterol it's one of the most important things to have in your body. It's a precursor for every sort of like.
So they're wondering why they have low T?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they have cholesterol meds and they're at 130 on their cholesterol? I mean, hello.
I know, ridiculous.
We call that in Orlando a clue. So I was telling this doctor, he said, but my cardiologist says it's really important I keep my cholesterol low. I said, well, you consider this. Your cardiologist, I said, how much nutritional training have you had? He says, nutritional training. He goes, I think in pre-med we might have had 2 hours of. I said, yeah, and that's how warm the peas need to be in the hospital and how to read potassium on the blood test, right? Well, yeah. I said, okay, how much do you think your cardiologist has had? He said, I suspect the same. I said, well, I've been studying clinical nutrition daily for more than 2 decades. Okay, your doctor has 2 hours. You can decide who you're going to listen to, and you're not listening to me. I'm showing you your own medical research.
It's amazing, that, isn't it?
And he made his change from there. So I advise doctors all over the place because they're not getting results from what they're giving their patients, and so they're going other ways, and so slowly they're changing the mentality. But you have a machine behind the drug companies. They own the politicians. They press for drug law. They keep the small guys out, and they try to sell these drugs. I mean, could you imagine if you're selling a multivitamin and it said may cause suicidal thoughts and actions?
You've got black box warnings, haven't you, in America?
Oh yes,
black box warning. I don't think.
Black box warning. It should say you are an idiot if you take this.
Yeah.
Because you're probably going to die. I mean, that's a black box warning.
Yeah, so people out there don't know, just the audience, like black box warnings actually, if you look on the back of any sort of medication or something like that, they'll have like a big thick black box in it. It'll give you like a warning saying that this could basically. It's the same as like I say to people, have you ever read a vaccine insert? Yeah, might change your mind about having a vaccination, in my opinion. And so it's sort of like, and this is, I always say to them, no one's ever been killed by a carrot. You know. It's amazing, and no one's the only thing, and this is the other thing that winds me up because of the FDA and certain other things. Like you have to put warnings on your products and other products saying like, "Oh, this hasn't been evaluated," or "This may be dangerous to pregnant women." I'm like, it just cracks me up. I'm like, if it's gonna be phenomenal for a normal person, when you've actually got another human growing inside you, wouldn't it be phenomenal for them too? It just doesn't make sense, and it's just like they have to put it in case. It's like But they can go out there and you haven't got any warnings on I don't think they've got warnings on like a can of Coke or a Mountain Dew or whatever it is.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Well, there's some research in America that, depending on how you slice it, okay, but by the most conservative estimates, properly prescribed drug deaths in America are 120,000 a year.
More, I think.
I know, but everybody will agree to that. Even the docs will agree to that. Okay? So 120,000 deaths a year. 120,000. I've seen research that say it might be 700,000. Okay, but let's just say 120,000. So that's 10,000 a month. Okay? So 10,000 a month. That's basically a jumbo jet crash every day. Now, if they crashed 3 jumbo jets and then they grounded the entire Boeing fleet of that type of jet,
they would, yeah.
But for decades now, this many people have been dying from properly prescribed pharmaceuticals. But then if you look at supplements in America, the history of supplements over the last, say, 5 years is that almost 0 people die from supplements. Some year it's like 10 or 12, and it's usually because they choked on a pill. Okay, not because they took a supplement and died.
Yeah.
So supplements are safe by any measure. In fact, supplements are safer than food because enough people die from foodborne illness. Mm-hmm. Supplements are safer than food and wildly safer than medications. So anything you're doing with a drug, with the exception of maybe insulin, okay, you can do otherwise with something natural. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing diabetic medication for type 2 diabetes, then you really don't realize that diabetes can be reversed.
No, yeah.
It's actually quite simple. It's so simple to drop cholesterol, a triglyceride. It's so simple to drop blood sugar. It's simple to drop all of these things natural, just a natural approach. You can just do it with your own diet, just changing a few things.
I mean, it's amazing. The body wants to be healthy. Its natural state is health. It's all the things that we do. I say like it's. So I think it's Chris Kresser had a great quote. I've used it many times, and he says like it's your predisposition to disease plus modern lifestyle equals chronic illness, and that's the thing. It's like plus modern lifestyle, and people like just going around a daily life. Most people just. It's right. The other thing you mentioned there, right? Most people just. This is why people always say it to me. I was like that. Everyone in the world's ill. Like most people in the world, they don't understand it. Like, you've got to take care of yourself now. You have to take care of it later on. And I think it was in America. I think I saw a stat. What's the leading cause of death? Is medical mistake.
Intervention.
Medical intervention.
Yeah. So
medical intervention. Yeah, not even medical mistake. Medical intervention. Leading cause of death in America. And so people look at that and go, "What?" And then, but these are still the people that the majority of people trust. And they go to, and it's like, have you ever seen most doctors I see? Look, I have doctors on my program, so they know what they're doing doesn't work. When it comes to car crashes or like broken bones, like A&E, brilliant. But when it comes to chronic illness, they don't know because they're not taught. And I always say that there's no like chemical solution for a spiritual problem, or like and so this is like I don't know. So the thing is, okay, so it's a lot easier for someone. This is the other thing. It's all right. you go to the doctor for treatment, right? A treatment. So if I said I'm going to treat you to lunch, you'd think that I was going to pay. So you go to a doctor and you go for treatment. You think the doctor can take away all your symptoms and put a responsibility on them. It's like, no, they might be able to lead you down the path, but you've got to walk it, and it's much easier just to take a pill than it is to change your diet and lifestyle, right? And you've got to take responsibility. And this is the thing: everyone wants to pass responsibility onto someone else, whereas, it comes down to you at the end of the day. You've got to take responsibility for your own health and put in the right nutrients in your body. Something like this. I say to people all the time, I don't sell anything, I won't promote anything that I wouldn't take myself or give to my mum and my dad. And I've been using your stuff for 5-6 years, and I continue to do it because there's nothing like it on the market. And so you've got Living Fuel Super Berry, you've got Living Fuel Super Greens, you've got like the proteins as well. We can actually talk about that, but you also got Living Fuel. So you've got Living Fuel Super Berry, Super Greens, and you've got the Ultimate. So for people out there, what is the difference like between the Ultimate and the Berry? Is it like, would you say, like, in the day you can just use the original, or is the Super Berry really worth people getting?
Super Berry Ultimate, is, as the name implies, so everything we make should be called Ultimate.
Yeah,
I mean, one of my sons says, "Pop, you're basically saying this is Ultimate, like the other stuff is not Ultimate."
That's the issue.
Yeah, and so that's been probably the number one question in our customer service is, what's the difference between Super Berry and Super Berry Ultimate? And the net of it is, it has more probiotics, it has more amino acids, it has more herbs, it just has more of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, it's for the people who, because it's funny, I initially had only Super Greens.
Yeah.
And then the athletes were saying, hey, we want the same protein base that you have here because we love it, but we don't want to take more Super Greens. We want to take our Super Greens and then have more protein. And so I started to make a protein powder based on the same thing. And I said, well, how am I going to flavor this? And I started putting berry powders in there. I go, wait a minute. I can just put a lot of berry powders in there and it'll be like Super Greens, but it'll be Super Berry. So instead of broccoli, spinach, kale, spirulina, barley grass, it has blueberry, strawberry, raspberry, cranberry, all organic, okay, freeze-dried. And so that became the Super Berry Original. So as normally, every time we're doing another batch, I'm thinking, I'm always reading the literature, and if something has been out there for a good while, before the research really shows it's good, I'm going to figure out how to incorporate it into Living Fuel over time. And so one day I upgraded Super Berry Original to where I wanted it.
Yeah.
And it was so expensive, I thought I was really cutting some people out and they're going to make them mad. So I literally released that as Super Berry, and then the next run I returned to the original and an Ultimate. So we split them.
Right.
So if people really want to go wild, or if you're only doing 1 scoop a day, you better take the Ultimate.
Yeah.
If you're doing less than a scoop, less than a full serving, take the Ultimate.
Yeah.
If you're doing full servings, then Super Berry Original is extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take it a couple times a day, then you can get away with Ultimate Original easily. So we have other versions coming out now too, which is pretty exciting. And we have something coming out which you're going to love. It's called Microfuel. So it's basically
micronutrition is so important. People talk about macros all the time. I'm like, you're missing a trick. Micronutrition is the key. Like, people don't understand it, and it's what I think has made me like younger at 33 than I did at 23 when I was really ill. Like, getting the micronutrients in. This is why I'm a big proponent of fasting. I love to give the body time to rest and to heal, and then when I do give it food, I want it to be like phenomenal. And please tell me.
Fasting on Living Fuel is terrific. I don't know if you've done that. So I've done 40 days before, many other people have also, just Living Fuel. And the greatest way to turn your health around is to just do Living Fuel. Take some things on top of that, depending on what you need, like super essentials, omegas, and that sort of thing. But Living Fuel, our aminos, and super essentials, omegas, if you take that, like the highest impact thing anybody can do is what we call the 7-day challenge, right? So day 1, all you do is changing one of your meals, probably breakfast.
Yep.
And you eat the same way the rest of the time. Day 2, day 3, the same, one meal. Day 4, you'd have 2 of your meals replaced by Living Fuel.
Yep.
Okay, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, dinner. So we change 2 of your meals. Now, if you're on intermittent fasting, it's just 2 meals starting with. And so on the 7th day, you do all 3 meals. And people actually have radical results in that 7 days. They lose, 6, 7, 8 pounds. They feel like they haven't felt. Their brain is like, wow, I can really think. I sleep so good. And that's where they have the maximum interest. So the way to have the most incredible turnaround in your health, particularly if you're like most people, is you radically change what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can pull off a 7-day challenge, anybody can do 7 days that way. 7 days. And then the next week you challenge yourself again. Okay, that was terrific. This week I'm going to do 2 meals living fuel a day, or I'm going to do 2 meals every other day or whatever. And then you have your next 7-day challenge. So every 7 days you just go higher and higher. Yeah. And then let's say I'm going to keep the same thing going the next week, except for my other meals, I'm going to clean them up. I'm going to stop this sugar. I'm going to not take breads or whatever the case may be. So in a short period of time, you've radically changed your health. And you say, okay, no way for me to tell you what you just experienced. So go experience it, and then you're not going to ever be without living fuel. But microfuel is very interesting. I wrote about in my book, The Super Health Diet, The Last Diet You Ever Need. I don't know if you have the book or not. Yeah. But in chapter 7, I talk about a thing called stealth nutrition. So basically, what could you have on a fast, for instance, where your body won't come off the fast?
Won't come off you won't lose your cellular autophagy, and you won't lose the benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. So that means it has to be less than 50 calories. Mm-hmm. Okay. Probably 30 calories, and calories. I'm not talking about anything else. Calories. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it has to have everything your body needs. Okay. So what we do is we make this thing. It's called Living Fuel Microfuel, micro meal. Okay. And so basically, you take this. A full serving of this, say for breakfast, and then depending on what you're doing in your nutrition, if you're trying to do intermittent fasting, for instance, then you probably do this, maybe 1 scoop of our aminos if you want to, but at a minimum get all your foundational nutrition. I'm not doing amino acids all the time, but it's designed to put like the full serving of this with or 1 or 2 scoops of essential amino acids, and it's extraordinary. You literally are not hungry. It's the best way to cut. If you're an athlete, you want to be a bodybuilding competition, it's the best way to cut. Now, I would say definitely do the amino acids too. Yeah. But the point is, if you cover every base you cover with living fuel, because let me ask you for this one question. I asked it in all my talks. What's the minimum protein that you should have a day? An athlete.
They talk, depends. What did you say? 50 grams?
Okay, it's a trick question, but the answer to that is way more than 50 grams. Okay. So, according to the research, higher protein intake equals better clinically in every way. Okay. So, these people that are talking about 50, 60, 70 grams of protein, I don't think they've read the research. I mean, they're talking about the China study, which is basically an anti-milk book from years ago. The truth of the matter is, if you look at Wolf's research, okay, Robert Wolf, he basically... I mean, I talked to him. He's told me, he says, essentially, those with higher protein intake score better in every clinically measurable way. Okay, so an athlete could take as much as 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight a day. Okay, yeah. And so if you're sedentary, even the U.S. government says 50% of your weight in protein a day. So if you have to read the book to understand how it comes to that conclusion, but it talks about active people should take more, and also when you factor all that in, first of all, if you can be active and you're not, then that's on you. Yeah. Okay. So you should not eat for a sedentary person unless you have to be sedentary. You should get up and do something. Yeah. But the trick to that is to fix your nutrition. Then you'll have so much energy you're going to want to do something. Yeah. So fix your metabolism. So that's the whole point of a Nutrifine. But if you can get all your micronutrients, everything your body needs without calories, you can still sustain yourself at a high level and not be hungry. Now, like an athlete, you might want to add MCT powder or MCT oil or whatever to the equation to add some fats, depending on what stage or whether you're on off fast or on fast. Or
it's the thing, because even I've been doing intermittent fasting for about 3 years now. I find it's maybe longer actually, and I think it's been absolutely phenomenal for me. 12 to 16 hours every day. Sometimes I'm very much like Ben Greenfield. Sometimes every Monday Generally, I might do a 24-hour fast. I just let my body just give it time, but I'll still be having 3 to 6, well, not 6, maybe 3 to 4,000 calories in my window. I'm not starving my body. I'm just letting it heal, and so be able to have things like that. Was it going to be called micro? Micro, living fuel micro. Cool. And have you got anything else coming up?
Yeah, we have several things. But I try not to get people excited about things that are coming, because the things that we have are already super exciting. I might tell you some things offline, but when you talk about micro, it's so exciting, because basically what I'm saying to people, see, a lot of people, we did a study here in the UK. It literally just came back yesterday. Okay. We did a pilot study. Right. And so people were taking 1 serving of living fuel a day and a half a serving of living fuel a day. Yep. And on the majority of them, lost body fat and increased muscle mass, and improve their innate antioxidant and immune function in a 90-day period of time. Okay, that's extraordinary. You can't. There's nothing else that can say that to do that.
No.
And these are people who they were just. I mean, a half a serving of fuel. I mean, I recommend a lot more. So what I say with micro is, any meal you don't have living fuel, have micro.
Okay.
So in other words, if you have fuel for breakfast, you're great. Okay. So if you're having your fuel at lunch, okay, great. You might eat something after that too. Okay, fine, but your bases are covered. But you're making an educated decision instead of a craving decision. And then if you have dinner and you're not having fuel, have a half or a full serving of micro, so that meal is elevated to as healthy as it could be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so micro plus aminos is everything your body needs. Right. Now you could say plus fats if you want to do that, but micro plus aminos is everything your body needs. You can also say, hey, I'm doing juicing. I love the juice. To me, I'm not a fan of juicing, but if you juice, stay to the green side. But your greens are probably not going to be as nutritious unless they're in your garden.
This is the thing I always say to people. They're like, well, how can living fuel be more? How can it be better than a natural living fuel? It's like, well, freeze-dried foods have actually got more nutrients in them. It's amazing. I think even like Bird's Eye, the company said that you got 4 times more nutrients. And also, as you said before, you're getting all your products are like organic. You're getting it from the best places rather than just getting it from somewhere. And so, I think they've even researched. They showed today, 1 head of lettuce today is like the equivalent of 50 heads of lettuce. You have to eat 50 lettuces today to get the equivalent of 1 lettuce 50 years ago. Something like that. And so when you're getting something like this, that's why I was trying to say to people. People say to me, "Oh, are supplements essential?" I'm like, I don't think you understand how much food has decreased in its bioavailability of nutrients, etc., over the years, unless you're getting it from. So I have certain farmers I work with, and I have certain people I go to, and this is why I say to people that it might cost more, but you're paying what you get for. And also, when you're having things that are more nutrient dense, your body actually needs less of them. I always say organic food keeps you satiated 40% longer, so you don't need as much. You're not having things with all E numbers that are like. People go to McDonald's and don't realise they spray their buns in leptin to turn off your brain's brain response to how full you are, or they do all these tricks they play, all these E numbers that once you pop you can't stop. Pringles, for example, they keep on it, and so these things are people don't understand this, and so when I say, it's like for example when I fast, I'm fine. People don't get hungry. I'm like sometimes, and I wait for 15 minutes and it goes away, and then it's like you
drink some water.
Yeah, drink some water, or have a little salt in there. You say a little bit of Celtic sea salt in there for your minerals. And then later on, I'll give my body. But my body's, you don't need to constantly be eating. The only people that help to the food industry. And so, and then I say, well, if you're taking something like this, in 2 scoops or a scoop or even a half a scoop, you're giving your body all the nutrients it needs. So you're not going to die because you haven't had them. It's like also most people walking around and they're like they've got so much food on their body. And it's like, and so when you have yours, do you have it do you have do you make it like a smoothie with bananas and other things in it, or do you just have it on its own?
I literally shake it and drink it.
Yeah,
shake and drink it. Now, a lot of times I'll just put unsweetened coconut milk in it because of the MCTs. It's really a great way to go. Yeah. But let me say something on the nutrition that you talked about. People want to get it from their vegetables, get it from their food. Doctors are notorious for saying that, but you can't. For one, okay, I look at a topographical map of America and the nutrients that are in the soil. Let's just go to trace minerals, for instance. Yeah, there are spots like Utah, where the old seabed salt
mines.
Yeah, they have inland seawater trace minerals that have all of them.
Yeah,
selenium, for instance.
Like they get sea moss over there. You know sea moss?
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, it's just it's one of the things they say. It's like it's huge. It's got basically every single trace and mineral you can get.
Right, and so every one of those trace minerals is important. Mm-hmm. Even lithium is important. Yeah. Okay, but let's say selenium. Everyone will say selenium is important, right? Everyone. But selenium is only in the soil in certain places. So if you're getting California-grown vegetables, okay, most likely you're not getting selenium. If you're getting Georgia-grown vegetables, you're not getting selenium.
They use KPM fertilizer, right, in most places anyway.
Well, there's another. It's okay. So they pull out 100 minerals in the crop, and they put back 3.
Yeah.
Okay, and this happens year after year after year after year. So, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that some of these minerals that they're looking for do not exist in any quantity that matters in all places that they grow vegetables. Right. So if it's not in the soil, it's not in the food. That's what I'm trying to say. but it is in living fuel because we use inland seawater, trace minerals as a foundation to our mineral complex. So again, we think we've thought of everything, and if we haven't, we're gonna fix it later. We're gonna add to it later. But the point is, if you have that symphony flow in the balance, then you are already going to start your day off right and eat things, because your body's going to start craving good stuff instead of the roller coaster, the blood sugar roller coaster.
I mean, it's quite, when you have yours, you can tell it's milk, it's thicker, and it's almost like it's. Yeah, you should be chewing it as well. It's actually a food, right? It's not like you can think I think you've got chia seeds in there as well, right? And you got I think you've got flax in there as well.
No flax.
What have you got? I'm trying to think what it is, but you can taste the chia. You can actually taste. So it's like it is completely different for people. Now, so where do you source the vegetables and the things you get from? Where in America are they from?
Well, all over America.
All over, yeah.
Okay, but like for instance, there may be a season where cranberries have been exhausted, organic cranberries. Yeah. And if we don't have organic cranberries, we don't make it. Right. That's why you see back orders. That's why I tell people, hey, order enough, because you may have a back order because it's popular. And if it runs out, it runs out. You have to try something. You have to try Super Greens or something. But so sometimes, though, in South America, sometimes in Europe, we can find organic berries of one or the other, one kind or the other. The thing we avoid is China, because there's a lot of contaminants in China. But there are a lot of great places around the world. Canada is another place we order.
Australia?
Australia too, yeah.
Yep.
Because they care.
Yeah.
But in China, you
know what you're getting in China.
It's really a sad world when you can't buy herbs from China. It's like herbs and rice. It's like, wait a minute, it's something's wrong here. So, but the point in living fuel is that it's about covering all the bases. Because if you're not covering all the bases, then you have consequences. That's just the net of it.
So this is the thing. I don't. This is the thing. I want to sit here and just be like an hour-long advertisement for living fuel because people are like, oh, you're just trying to sell something. But it's like, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, and I wouldn't have sold it for 6 years, and I wouldn't give it to my guy if I wasn't like, guys. I'm not saying Herbalife here or Juice Plus. We're talking about something that can literally change your life, and so.
That's our mission, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, you're Christian, Catholic?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Christian.
Christian, yeah. Six children.
6 children.
All of them have it.
Oh, every day.
Every day, yeah. And
in fact, it's my wife had as many as 3 a day while she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then while she's nursing, also.
Yeah.
And then it was the baby's first food after breast milk.
Really?
Okay, so you mix coconut milk and living fuel, and you cut the little hole in the baby bottle a little more, and they drink it. They literally love it, and it makes super healthy children. Super healthy mommies, super healthy children.
That's what I said. People say, it's really. I had a story about this once when I was having a greens drink. It might have been living fuel actually, and I was having it, and one of my friends' girlfriends was like, "Oh, can I try some of that?" I was like, "Yeah, of course, not a problem." And my friend went, "Oh no, be careful, because you don't know what's in there. They might upset your stomach." And I was like, "It's the best food on the planet by none, but it's up to you. Do you want some?" She was like, "No, I better be careful." I'm not having it. I was like, okay then. Then 10 minutes later, I see her eating a cheese string. I'm like, are you joking me? And but that'd be safe to give a kid because it's on the shelves, whereas you may not be able to give them a living fuel. And it's like, it's where does your brain kick in? And you stop listening to the government. People will say if you think the government's looking out for you, you obviously haven't read a history book.
Have you ever heard a doctor tell a pregnant lady not to eat fast food? Have you ever told? I mean, it's insane when you think, just like you talk about. It's like I had a pregnant woman contact me yesterday, message me through the system, and her point was, I've been taking living fuel for years. I'm really healthy, but my doctor told me to stop because I'm pregnant because it has too much vitamin A in it. I go, oh really? I said, well, it's easy. It's easy to understand how he came to that conclusion. Looking at the label, but a closer look would show you that there is no vitamin A in living fuel. In fact, the vitamin A, which the government classifies alpha, beta, gamma, delta carotenoid, which is a plant-based precursors to vitamin A, go into your body. Your body will convert to the vitamin A that you need. So I would argue that studies that say vitamin A you shouldn't have while you're pregnant or shouldn't have more than 5,000 IU. But forget about that. We don't use vitamin A. Retinol is not what we use. We use carotenoids, and so it's very safe and makes healthy babies. And show this to your doctor because there's so much misinformation out there. But the net of it is, anything that makes you healthy is going to make your baby healthy, just for the most part. I mean,
it's like it goes. It's just ridiculous when people say it's like, why? If it makes you healthy, how is it not going to help you? Because this is what I say to women. You're eating for two. And this is what I say all the time. We deal with a lot of women that And it's not to always say about the patriarchy and about men trying to talk about women differently. It's like in the health industry, I'm actually in an industry like, men generally like more things, women like people, and so I'm in an industry being like a health coach, which is generally like quite female dominant. But we do have a lot of women that have chronic health issues because we call it rushing women syndrome, where they're rushing it, or they're trying to be everything to everyone. And we say like you're trying to live like a man in a woman's body, right? Men have got a much more robust hormonal profile. We're like a pickup truck. I say it a lot. You can thrash us to bits, and eventually we break down. But it takes a long time. With women, more like Ferraris. They look fantastic. Once a month they have an issue, and you need to take special care of them. But when you're trying to be everything to everyone, your hormones all over the place. They get endometriosis, ovarian cysts, and they get all these other things that happen. And once they slow down in life, and I say like, remember, you need to have you're meant to have enough resources for two people, not just one. And so when you're having something like living fuel, it just covers all the bases. And this is why I put it in.
Throw away the pregnancy synthetic thing, multivitamin the doctor tries to give you, and take living fuel.
It's the one thing I talk about. Like, I did a video on this last week as well. I know you have like private healthcare in America, and there's a big thing about it. And we've got the NHS over here, the National Health Service, which I like to call like the no health service when it comes to chronic illness. And I say, what's the point of it being free, you still pay for your taxes, if it doesn't work? Like, wouldn't you rather spend money or like save it and then use something that does? It's like when you work with a health coach or work with a nutrition or whatever you work with, you may be paying them money, but you're actually going to get a result. And you know what? You're not actually investing in them. You're investing in yourself. That's what I'd say. Like, I spent thousands learning what I have to learn. And that's why I don't even at that point, even when I didn't have enough money or like was struggling financially, I would still make this a priority because I knew that this was going to allow me to do other things in life and get me healthy. And if you're not healthy, you can't. I always say to people, what's more expensive? Food or buying something like living fuel, or not being able to live life the way you want to live, having no energy, no sex drive, no get up and go, no zest for life, no baba boom as they call it. What's more expensive to you? And it depends. And this is why I have been telling people for ages to get living fuel and to change their lifestyle as well. So we also want to talk about this before because I know we've got a few meetings and stuff. What is the eighth?
Oh, the eighth key?
Yeah,
Before I go there, on the subject of expensive, people look at a canister of living fuel for 80 pounds or whatever it is and say, oh, that's expensive. But they run into the cafe down here and they'll buy a coffee and a Danish and spend more than the cost of a single living fuel meal.
Yeah, you break it down. You need to break it down, right?
You look at the cost per meal, it's less than you're spending for the garbage food at the cafe.
Yeah.
Anytime you eat in a restaurant, fast food or otherwise, you're spending more than you would have if you had a living fuel.
100%.
So when people stop thinking of it as additive and thinking of it as replacing your grocery budget or your restaurant budget, you'll start saying, this is super cost effective and the nutritional difference is dramatic.
It's super cost effective. I always say it to people all the time. Like, you have one scoop of that a day, you're covering all your bases. You're literally. I say to people, I've said this many times, that you could live on living fuel for the rest of your life and probably be one of the healthiest people in the world. And that you may get to a point where you need some meat, because some people certain people can thrive being vegan, some people can thrive being vegetarian. I myself, I know I need some meat, but like if I had that forever long, I've done it before. I had it for. I think I did it 10, 12 days where I just literally had living fuel.
Yeah.
And I just want to give my body a cleansing period, a resting period. And I felt phenomenal, looked fantastic. And I say to people, like, you're covering your bases. So even if you're going to go and have whatever, if you have a scoop of this a day, you're flooding your body with... this is the other way I like to look at things now, Casey. Okay, I always say to people, like, stop thinking of things as like good and bad. I always look at it as like positive and negative energy. So... same way with a food. If you're eating a food that you know is good for you, you're putting positive energy into your body, like life force. If you're eating something bad, you're like it's almost like your bank balance, or like your health ladder. You take so health ladder. Maybe like you get up in the morning, you have a glass of water with lemon, to rehydrate your body and to take away the alkaline in the body and to energize it, etc. So you've gone up like 5 steps in the ladder. Then you maybe go to the gym, you exercise, okay, and so you've done that step. So maybe that's like 15 steps on the ladder. And you take a scoop of living fuel, bosh, you've gone up 50 steps on the ladder. And then if you say you had a coffee, you have some alcohol, okay, you might come down a few steps, but you're still 60 steps up rather than being... Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so I like to try and say to people, and positive energy versus negative energy. And so it's the same you put in your body nutritionally, I said before, energetically, mentally, emotionally, what you're watching, what you're listening, whether you're pro-Trump, anti-Trump, I don't care. But if you listen to that stuff, you come out of it, you put in negative stuff in your body, because arguments, whatever it is, no wonder people are so irate. I always say, think about other things, and it's why I like listening to podcasts. I think it's so good, these long-term conversations, because I say these long sketch, rather than like little sound clips you get, or you see all these shows where you get like something like David Letterman. No, actually, he's got longer interviews now, but they used to be like 3 or 10 minute interviews. You can't get any real substance from that. So I love the fact that we get people like yourself on and other great conversations with them, because people can go deep into it and actually understand, get to know the people better, they get to know what they're about, and everyone I have on the show is someone that deeply cares. And that's the big difference. We don't want people on just like, I don't get people. I don't talk to people that are just like, oh, okay, whatever. I talk to people that care. It's so funny because it's like sometimes on Instagram, through Instagram and social media, I can almost get to know someone better than someone maybe I might see face to face. But they're into saying things, you send messages back and forth, and it's like you already know what they're about just by looking at their thing. And everyone we get on the show truly, even if they got differences of opinion about certain things, they truly care and they truly want to help people. And I think if you're coming from that sort of like place and you've got a good heart, that goes a long way, right?
Absolutely, sir. And we're about purity, potency, quality, and truth. And so our information is so if we learn something that isn't right, we'll say, you know what, I wasn't right on that.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't happen very often because we do based on what the literature said over a long period of time. We don't do the supplement of the month club.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we try to understand what the human body needs and give the human body that. And so what do? I take Living Fuel at least once or twice a day for 18 years. Okay, so if I take it on my plane in my travel bag,
yeah,
because you can take my luggage but don't take my fuel. Okay, so I'm here. I'm having Living Fuel for breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm having at least a scoop at night or with another meal,
yeah,
because I know how good it is. In fact, every time I drink it, I go, Lord, this is amazing. This is so good. I love it because I know what I'm doing for myself. And so I recommend. I also do 1 or 2 scoops of essential aminos, Living Fuel essential aminos,
yeah,
in every fuel, and I take the Super Essentials Omegas with every day. So if I don't do anything else, whether I don't do that. Now, some days if I fast completely, I don't do anything, but on every day that I eat, or some days I'm just doing Living Fuel, that's the way I roll. My wife's similar, my kids similar. And so you want to talk about the 8th key, you said.
Before that, I do want to talk about that actually. I just want to say, there's people out there, why isn't it in just things, people go, I can't find it anywhere, I can only find it on certain sites and stuff. Why isn't it in shops? So why, we've talked about this offline, but just people out there, like, why aren't you in shops or on certain things? Like, why can you only get it in certain places?
Well, first of all, it's a food.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's hard to communicate to a customer. Living Fuel sitting on the shelf beside those other things that are making all kinds of claims that they don't back their claims whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So I literally went to a store one time that we tested to allow sell Living Fuel, and I said, "So you have Living Fuel?" He goes, "Yeah, it's right here." I go, "Oh, interesting. Why is it up there?" "Oh, because we mostly recommend this product over here." I go, "Really?" "Yeah, it's the Berry Blast." I go, "Really? So what's the serving size of that Berry Blast?" And they go, 2 scoops. I said, "No, how many grams?" "Oh, it's 12 grams. "Oh, 12 grams. I said, "What's the serving size of Living Fuel?" He said, 2 scoops. Yeah, 2 scoops, but what's the grams? He goes, 80 grams. I said, "Oh, so Living Fuel has 80 grams, and that product has 12 grams, and you're recommending that over Living Fuel, and the price is about the same." Could you explain that to me? "Well, I didn't know that." It's like, okay, this is the person the expert at the store doesn't even know that. So put it on a store shelf doesn't do it justice. Okay?
Yeah.
The most important piece of that is the stores require 50 to 60% margin in order to put a product in their store.
Right.
We don't offer 60% margin because we can't. And we'd have to sell it for $200 a can, okay, in order to give them that kind of margin.
Yeah.
So we sell directly to doctors, trainers, and directly to the public so that we can pass on the savings of not building in a margin.
Yeah.
If people talk about expense, if you try to go out and buy what's in Living Fuel, you're going to spend a boatload of money.
Yeah.
And so that's really the main reason. So we're perfectly happy with people coming to people like yourself or experts. And also we don't allow people who don't use Living Fuel regularly to sell Living Fuel. It's just that. Listen, some people say, "Oh yeah, we can put it through our distribution system." And I said, "Well, no, you can't." Well, I said, "Why?" They say, why? I said, because the margin's not enough to support your distribution system, like multi-level. Any company selling direct multi-level marketing has so much margin that they either cut the ingredients so they don't have enough of the ingredients, or they don't use perfect ingredients like organics and that sort of thing. So the distribution cost in the product is extraordinary for most companies. So it isn't for us.
Yeah, I completely get it. And it's like, I just want people just to sort of understand that, why that is. And people do, people do mark things up, and there's other people know
they have to. That's the way it works.
Multi-level marketing company. It's just a shambles.
80% costs.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, and it's like, and so this is why I just wanted to get people to understand the reason why that was. And people, even someone like Ben Greenfield, he's got his own supplement company called Keon, and he takes this, so it's sort of like, that's how good it is. Even because people go out there and like make it themselves when you've been working on this formula for ages. Was it doctor, scientist, and nutritionist come up with this formula? Mm-hmm.
Well, it was my formula. They would say to me, well, this is a better form than you're talking about. Like, for instance, maybe I was using a particular ingredient and said, no, there's a better one available.
But it didn't
and maybe you should, maybe you should know. They would help me, because they would say you need less of that or more of that, or you need, a better form or whatever. And so that's how I used the scientists and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nutritionists. And so, that worked out good. Now, Ben Greenfield has been taking Living Fuel for a very long time. He also has, like you said, his new company, which he has some really good products. They don't compete with Living Fuel. They're different. Yeah. But they're very good, and he's a very smart guy.
I know, he's very switched on. Yeah. He's very switched on. But there's a few people like in the industry that you go, okay, I'd love to have a chat with him. I really want to get him on, because I think he'd have a great chat. He's goes very much into like anti-aging as well, isn't he? He's going into how to like take longevity out, and this is the thing. Like, there's certain things that they do every day. He's fast, and he has cold showers, and then he has Living Fuel, and he has certain supplements, and he exercises. And they always say, success leaves clues, and these people are.
Well said.
It's true though, right? And so when you're healthy and you look at these people, and so I always say to people like, because when I was ill, or people haven't seen me for a long time, or people would come up to you, or even people do. They say, "Oh, you look good, you look healthy."
You look great.
I'm like, no, but I just say to him, it didn't happen by mistake. It's not like it didn't. It's not a fluke. You same as these people. These guys, they all look good because they do certain things. So So you were about to say the eighth
key. Well, this is very interesting, because as I talked about, the 7 keys I've been talking about for years: hydration, nutrition, exercise, stress, sleep, environmental hazards, and meditation and prayer. Okay, that to me covered everything for everyone. And over the years, though, there were people who from my estimation, were doing everything right, and still were not getting the kind of results they should have been getting. And it was baffling to me. So the more I looked, the more I studied, the more it became obvious to me that, Einstein had it right. Medicine is based on Newtonian physics, or Newtonian mechanics. What does that mean? That means that only the matter matters. Okay, so if there's a problem with your shoulder, let's deal with your shoulder. And if you know everything about a certain kind of matter, that everything you need to know: the density, the speed, what's it comprised of, all those things. So only the matter matters. No need for spirit or external influence. Yeah. And then I started looking into the research, and this whole thing about that DNA determines your outcome. You talked about, somebody said something that was profound. It was like genetics plus lifestyle equals something.
Yeah, your predisposition to disease plus modern lifestyle equals chronic illness.
Okay, so predisposition to disease is often thought about as a basic death sentence to the next generation, genetically speaking. Mm-hmm. So you've even heard people say it. Well, mama had diabetes and dad had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes.
Epigenetics.
Genetically. Right? No, but see, epigenetics, yes, but genetics, no. So in other words, the predisposition is really scientifically less than 5% of the outcome. Yeah. So 95% is the diet and lifestyle and the environment. And so when you think about that, so you didn't inherit your mom's genetics to get diabetes, you inherited your mom's cookbook. And so when you think about that,
100%,
okay, you really learn your lifestyle. Yeah. So the more I started studying, the more it became apparent. Like the Jesuits many years ago said, "Give me the boy until he's 7 years old, and I'll show you the man." And I thought, whoa. How profound is that based on the science we know today? What does that mean? Well, that means that if we can program this child for 7 years, first 7 years of his life, we can show you what his whole life is going to be like. So many people today have been negatively programmed in their 7 years, where maybe they were, maybe their parents had problems, or maybe they had bad role models, or maybe. See, the thing is, in the first 7 years of life, your brain is in delta and then theta wave, and so that means that first 7 years you're in a subconscious brain pattern. You don't have a consciousness from which to filter everything and to learn. So basically, what's being poured into you and what you see and what you experience. Kids are being brought up by iPhones and iPads now. It's pretty scary. So the things that they learn, like the religious zealots, okay, they will like some of the ones that are terrorists, whatever. They'll be drilling their kids for the first 7 years, and they know they got them. Okay, because that programming is your programming. It's your subconscious programming. Now, your subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful than your conscious mind. Yeah. So the point is that your mind has a mind of its own. And when you think about that, okay, how many times do they join the gym on January 1st of the year? How many people do that? Yeah. The whole gym industry lives on the fact that they know people are going to join and not show up. Yeah, 100%. That's a known fact. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Because your mind has a mind of its own. You don't believe you should be healthy. You don't really believe. You have made a conscious decision, but in your weakness, your subconscious mind is going to override that. And so it became so apparent to me, and it's interesting, the Bible even says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so that doesn't mean by the renewing of your conscious mind. That means your mind is your subconscious mind, which is also referred to as the heart. Okay? And the Bible also says, out of the heart flow all the issues of life. Okay? Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And we know in science now the heart has neurons too. Yeah. The heart, the gut, the brain all have neurons. So there's actually thought essentially coming from the heart. People say, the longest distance in life is a distance from the head to the heart. It's true. So true belief is when it comes down to the heart. So like you can run a marathon, and you can have a lot of doubts along the way. The Bible says, shall not doubt in his heart. It didn't say shall not doubt in his head. Because doubts in your head is the way the enemy works against us. Put doubt. You can't do it. But if you believe, even though you doubt, you can still overcome. But if you allow yourself the unbelief to go to your heart, like you've heard this all your life. Yeah. How many people are in prison that their parents said, you're going to be just like your father. You're going to be in prison before you know it. In their young age, and they're programmed that basically they're not going to be anything. My parents aren't anything. Nobody ever succeeds. It's all in there, okay? And so that's not the whole point of what I'm saying here, but this is a little foundation I'm trying to throw your way, is that Newtonian physics comes from the outside in. Einstein said it's all in the field. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? He says everything is energetically based. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's all Newtonian physics does see. When you look in the microscope, you can see a cell, and you can see the parts of the cell. But if you get an electron microscope, you get all the way down to the atomic level, and you look at the atoms and the molecules. What do you see? They're vibrating. They're moving. You don't see anything. Oh, yeah? They don't exist. Oh. It's energy. You can't see it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so energetically, atom is made, and it becomes a molecule is made, and energetically an atom is made, and then the atoms stack together in a way that has an energetic field, and the more atoms you put together, the more of an energetic field, and this field becomes a cell, a part of a cell, and then the field becomes another part of a cell, and then you basically have an energetic backbone to what we physically see and feel. Yeah. This is fact, okay? Yeah. Einstein said it's all in the field, and Einstein also said that the DNA and the host are never separate, which is he called it the spookiest aspect of DNA that exists. Now, this will freak someone out when you start thinking, wow, the Bible talks about creation, all that sort of thing, and that Jesus is light. And so when you talk about energy becomes a molecule, becomes an atom, becomes a cell, becomes an organ, and all these things, they submit their power, their energy, they submit it to the host, which would be the organ, and the host submits the organ to the organ system, and they submit that to the brain. But the truth of the matter is, and this is where it gets a little freaky, is that studies been done in the lab in 1969 to where they were talking already about that you are a product of your DNA. So DNA, RNA, protein, that's called the central dogma of genetics. DNA, RNA, protein. DNA, RNA, protein. That's how everything works. Mm-hmm. So if your DNA is messed up, your RNA is going to be messed up, your protein is going to be messed up, and therefore you're going to be messed up, or part of you is going to be messed up. But that's been disproven so many times now. How's that? They take a cell, They take stem cells and they put them in 3 different petri dishes: bone environment, blood environment, muscle environment. Same cells, they get 3 different results. So if it's true that you are a product of your DNA, then all 3 of those cells would have the same results. All 3 of those petri dishes would have the same results. And to further prove that, they did nucleusectomies of these cells, and they pull out the nucleus, which has all the DNA, and then they'd watch the cell, and they say, oh, the cell does absolutely everything that it did before they took the DNA out. It continues to operate full functionality.
Bruce Lipton.
With the Bruce Lipton, with the exception of RNA or repair and replication.
Yeah.
So basically, DNA is a reproductive organ. So what I'm trying to say to people is, it's wildly bigger than you think, because they prove now that the environment controls the biology.
Yeah, he said he used to think it was a nuclear, like the DNA, the genes, and it was like, no, it's actually like the cell membrane, the skin that's the most important thing.
The membrane, membrane.
Yeah.
But see, the membrane is a liquid crystal.
Yeah.
Same thing as a liquid crystal in computer technology. Mm-hmm. It requires an external keystroke, if you will.
Yeah.
So it proves the spiritual aspect of life.
100%. Yeah.
Because there is no brain in a cell. Mm-hmm. They thought the DNA was the brain, but it is not. The environment's the signals coming from outside the organism to do what it's supposed to do. I mean, we all know, after all these years of studying the brain, we still don't know hardly anything about the brain. Okay, we don't know anything about how life. We can't create life in a cell. I heard this one group say the scientists were so smart that they challenged God. They said, we can make a human in the lab, and God said, okay, let's do it. And they said, okay, let's do it. And so that the scientists, they got some dirt, and God said, no, wait a minute, get your own dirt. You know, so the point is, we cannot, without starting with life, we can't make life.
Well, have you heard about I reckon in 10 years they'll be able to give birth without actually baby, rather than the woman having to carry a baby, they'll be able to, almost like the Matrix, grow a baby in like another external environment.
This is true, but not without the sperm and egg.
Yeah, exactly.
The point is, you have to start with life to make life.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so it's such a miracle on every point. Okay, so what am I getting to in the 8th key? Okay, so if you have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and most people do not change. Their habits and the way they are is the way they are. That's their personality. They got locked in at 7 years old and got built upon. And if they had trauma along the way, particularly before 7, or trauma after 7, PTSD, everyone has some level of PTSD. There's somebody just told them they were fat, or they were ugly, or they would never succeed, or whatever, and this emotion stuck in them. Well, I come from a Christian perspective, but I like to study everything to see what it is that they're doing that is truth. Instead of a lot of people who are Christian go, oh, that's New Age. No, I look at it and go, okay. So they say, Casey, do you believe in karma? I said, well, yeah, I do. The Bible says, as you sow, so also shall you reap. That's karma. Okay, and then they talk about, well, Chinese, they had this Chinese medicine before the Bible. Yeah, but if you look at the Chinese symbol for blessing, you just write it right now, even today, they'll write the symbol for blessing. You go, hey, interpret that for me. They go, one man, one God in the garden. Okay, that's the symbol of Chinese blessing. Okay, their Chinese God that they put in the Forbidden City, if you actually study it, that is Jesus. Okay, so let's just put that aside for the moment. So what did they do as truth? Well, they talk about the Chinese meridians. We've now proven that to be so. We reimburse in America. You do in the UK too. Reimburse for acupuncture, and acupressure is a recognized technique. And then we talk about some ancient medicine chakras. Okay, 7 chakras. Well, 7 chakras. They go, ooh, that's voodoo. No, that is not. It's New Age. A lot of New Agers use it.
It's old age, but in the new, in I know what you mean. Yeah.
The point is that the 7 chakras are the 7 neuroendocrine glandular systems in Western medicine.
Oh, okay.
So instead of looking at the core chakra energetically, you look at it glandularly, like you look at it endocrine wise. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same. I mean, so when you start looking at it, go, well, wait a minute. This all pieces of this puzzle all fits together. You have to be balanced. We're talking about balance all the while, right? So the book called The 8th Key, it deals with energetics and how that matters. So there are at least a dozen proven ways to release PTSD. One, let's just say EMDR, eye motion disassociation recovery, or something like that. I have to go back and think of what it is. EMDR is the number one accepted cure treatment for PTSD in America today. Okay, there's 100,000 practitioners in America doing it. What do? Well, what they will do is they talk you into your oldest traumatic memory, and then as you are triggered into that memory, they actually take their fingers and they have a certain pattern that you follow their fingers with their eye, or they have a computer screen where you look at a dot. And literally, because of the way you're moving your eyes and while you're being triggered into that emotion, you literally are engaging the entire brain and processing that emotion, and it becomes gone. It's gone. Never have to deal with it again. Okay, there's at least a dozen of those types of techniques that people ought to know about, different types of techniques, but they all come at it a different way. You've seen the emotion code, the healing code. I mean, there's all different ones where they will find the stuck emotion. Now, Chinese medicine has shown that they have shown these balls of energy in organs. Like if you have unforgiveness, you probably have gallbladder problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they talk about that liver holds anger, and your gut is like
liver anger.
Yeah.
So this is science now saying this, but they've been saying it for thousands of years. So it's like at some point, what I do is I look at the science, I look at the practice, and I look at how it lines up in the Bible. And as far as I'm concerned, none of this conflicts with the Bible. Every good and perfect thing comes from above. That's what the Bible says. And so if you're literally working towards life, and don't try to take the credit, you give the credit where it belongs. You're working towards life, and someone's getting better. That has to be good. Okay, because we're not talking about making oaths with the devil and that sort of thing. We're talking about using what is known knowledge, wisdom, and knowledge. Is the Bible talks about seek first wisdom. It's the principal thing, right? So if you get wisdom and you have an understanding based on all these practices, and you bring it together in a way that is positive and uplifting and positive energy, then people are going to be better for it. That's what medicine is. Medicine talks about, that's voodoo medicine. And then after the years goes by, they realize it's really good. They said, no, now it's conventional medicine. Now the next thing's alternative. Yeah. So they adopt alternative medicine after years of being true. So a lot of things are truly stated, but they're not a statement of truth. But see, truth is truth, and it never changes. People say, well, it used to be this. No. It always was true, and our understanding of it changed over time, which means that something was wrong in our understanding.
Or, I mean, even if one person believes it, or if a million people, the truth is the truth, as you say, like it. And it's just they say the truth generally, like like pioneers have arrows in their back, where the truth is first discarded, then it's like violently opposed, I think it is. Then it's sort of accepted, and then it's like taken as their own, and it goes around just because it's said in different ways. It's like when people talk about God. I've got listeners in here that every single religion, and I always say, like, if you don't like the term God or Jesus or whatever else, just replace it with universe, because it is what it is. Like you can't because people say, oh God, and they've got imagery. I say, look, I'm massive. I say that the universe is. It will show you, and when you start Mother Nature, and that's another one. Say Mother Nature, because it will teach you, and it will learn. And one of the things we used to say about health thing, it's a pain teacher. Once you being ill and you get into that pain, it's a teaching you what not to do. And we always say, like, how about whatever you did to cause the disease, how about you do the opposite to reverse it? And so energy is a huge thing. It's huge. So what's the book called?
It's called The Eighth Key.
The Eighth Key. That's awesome. And when's it coming out?
It's coming out in early next year.
Early next year, so 2020, 2020. That's cool. So will that be coming out around the same time the new stuff comes out?
Oh, and that'll be out next month.
Oh, really?
I
look forward to that. Would it be over here?
Yes. Yeah. And In Sport Recovery is now going to be approved for UK.
Oh, awesome.
Because now it's fully vegan, which allows it to come in.
Okay. What did it have in it before?
It had egg white protein.
Okay, and it's not allowed.
Now it's pea.
Okay, pea protein. No, cool. Awesome, Casey. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, my man. I hope we can do this again sometime. But I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the micronutrition and the other stuff. So yeah, been great.
You're doing great stuff, Ryan. God bless you, and we'll look forward to next time.
So there you have it, guys. That was Casey Craichy, the founder and CEO of Living Fuel, and an absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to nutrition supplements. Why it's so important to actually look out for the ingredients in supplements and know what's going into them, because so much on the market. I always say, 99% of supplements are garbage. Because I surround myself with such high quality stuff all the time. Sometimes I don't even notice it as much anymore because I'm just never looking at it. But if I go into a Holland and Barrett, for example, or some of these other supplement shops, it's just garbage, like being derived from coal tar, using cheap ingredients, binders, fillers, just literally the markup is so much in them, and they're just toxic garbage. But if you shop on the Revive Yourself shop, then you're never going to get any of that. Everything we use is a top quality. And for example, Living Fuels is, as Casey said, it's actually a meal. It's whole food. It's just a different level of nutrition, and everything we use, is non-toxic. I wouldn't sell anything or recommend anything that I wouldn't take myself or give to my family. So if you do head on over to www.reviveyourself.co and head on to our shop, we have got Living Fuel Super Greens, Living Fuel Super Berry, Living Fuel Protein there for you to have. They are, and also Living Fuel Super Berry Ultimate. They are just packed full, as you said. It's just, you're getting over your recommended daily recommended daily amounts. These recommended daily amounts are just fiction, anyway, made up by the government, like your 5 a day. Really we should be having 25 a day if you're getting that much concentrated nutrients, or many concentrated nutrients in your body. So let's keep on putting the good stuff in our bodies, guys. And as I said before on the show, it's all about positive and negative energy. Don't think about it as like good and bad food. Just think about it as positive food. The more positive food you put in your body, the more positive things you consume through your eyes and your ears, and the more positive people you surround yourself with, the greater your health's going to be. As always, guys and girls, if you are dealing with a health issue and you're looking for someone to help you through that and to overcome it, then do give me an email at ryan@reviveyourself.co, or head on over to www.reviveyourself.co or .co, whatever way you prefer to say it, and you click on the contact tab, and I'll be in touch with you as soon as possible. Same as if you send me an email, I'll be in touch as soon as possible, and we can book a call to see if and how we can help you. Otherwise, guys and girls, that's it for this week. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
If you're struggling with gut issues, such as gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, indigestion, heartburn, and want to finally be able to eat the foods you love without the crippling after effects, then don't forget to head over to reviveyourself.co and pick up your free copy of The Healing Health Paradigm today.